Welcome back to Sales Insights with Sarah. This is the podcast for sales professionals and business leaders looking to implement new strategies and drive sales growth in their organisations. I'm your host, Sarah Downs, and my guests and I will be sharing with you some of our own experiences in business and sales insights to help you gain focus and take action. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Sales Insights with Sarah podcast. So the title of this episode may well be confusing you. Don't talk to strangers. Now, just to set the scene, I am not advising that we don't speak to strangers. Actually, quite the opposite. But it's something that in recent conversations with my own clients, I am coming across quite a lot, especially when we're talking about social selling strategy. A number of my clients are saying that they will not accept connection requests from strangers, or they don't feel comfortable reaching out to strangers and connecting or even commenting and engaging on their content. Now, I think this probably stems back to our childhoods when time and time again we were told to don't speak to strangers. Don't speak to strangers because it could be dangerous. Don't speak to strangers. It's rude. Depending on the way you were brought up, the culture you were brought up in, there may be a different message there. But children on the whole are often taught not to speak to strangers. Stay inside of the community, stay inside of the circle of people you know, and safety, etc. Now, this, I think, subconsciously, really comes into adulthood, and that's why many adults are uncomfortable to talk to strangers. Now, in sales, it is important, whether we are hunting and prospecting, account managing, building, on existing business, maybe a new person has joined the buyer's team, etc. It is so important that we speak to strangers. But it's not really the sales professionals that I'm hearing this from. It's the other individuals within the company that can influence sales, such as company directors, procurement, HR, engineering, the other roles that if you're going to have a really successful social selling strategy, really need to take part in it as well, not just sales and marketing professionals. So obviously this can hinder businesses' growth, but it's something that I've been quite surprised how often I'm hearing it. So just to reiterate, I am not telling you not to speak to strangers in this episode, quite the opposite. And I wrote an article a number of years ago about networking, which I'm going to share in the notes below. And this article was about children. When we are forced into the networking environment as children, so that could be the first day of school, a birthday party, play park, anything where children are all thrown in together, expected to engage. But the minute they're out that environment, they're being told not to speak to strangers. So it can get a little bit confusing. And as adults, it can be similar when we look at online versus offline. In offline environment, a number of people won't speak to strangers. They're the guys standing in the corner of the networking event, looking out for people they already know, or hoping that a stranger comes to them first. They won't take the first step. But when we come online, you could be waiting forever, especially if you're not engaging in the content of others or adding value. You could wait a very long time for somebody to reach out and speak to you, unless it's an automated sales pitch, which none of us really want anyway. So the reason for doing this episode is really to try and build some self-awareness in. It is a numbers game a lot of the time online. Obviously, quality of content, quality of connection is important, but not necessarily the quality of the community. There's a lot of, arguments to and for that, which we can go into at a later date. But at the moment, I connect with every single person that reaches out to connect with me. If they don't use a connection message, I don't hold it against them, because some people aren't even aware that that's possible. And the way we use things on our phone versus our desktops can be different. But I am willing to speak to strangers. If that stranger then starts to bombard me with sales automated messages in particular, then I may well unfollow or block them if there's inappropriate content. But on the whole, they stay in my network, and that's someone else when I'm adding value and I'm sharing content that's going to be able to engage, and therefore their networks can see it as well. So that's what I am recommending you do. Obviously, I'm happy to have a conversation about this further if anyone is still worried about speaking to strangers online. But in general, social media, people are there to be social. If they put their profile out there, they put their content out there, they're doing that for others to engage. So it's not stalking, it's not inappropriate, it's perfectly normal to engage online in a social setting. So that's it for me today, everyone. Please keep speaking to strangers and try and forget all those memories of when you were told not to as a child, and just get yourself out there, build relationships and see what happens. Take care. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Sales Insights with Sarah podcast. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already so that you are notified of every new episode. If you could take a few minutes to leave a review, it would be greatly appreciated. See you next time.